This week, I fly on a massive empty plane to a massive empty airport on an airline that serves some, well, let's just say interesting routes, as I take a flight on South America's strangest airline, the Venezuelan national airline, Conviasa. Well, good morning from Caracas in Venezuela. Not going to lie, this place is not entirely what I expected it would be like. It's absolutely lovely. I've had a cracking few days here, flying all around the country, but now it's time to say goodbye to Venezuela. And to do that, I'm going to be flying on one of the world's strangest airlines. All right, then, got everything: wallet, passport, mobile, bags. I think we're ready. Okay, let's go. You see, while I say that they're a strange airline, for the most part they operate pretty much a normal route network. They fly Embraer 190s between all the cities here in Venezuela and also countries around here like Colombia and stuff. Pretty normal, you'd say. But then, well, then there's their A340s, and they go to some pretty far out places. Hasta luego. Bye. You see, Conviasa have this fleet of Airbus A340s, big wide-body airliners, which is a bit of an anomaly, really, for an airline that generally just serves domestic flights here in Venezuela. And it's fair to say they go to some pretty off-the-beaten-track destinations from here in Caracas. So I'm taking a flight on one today. Gracias. Bien. Sí. Hasta luego. Gracias, adios. Checking in for Conviasa proved to be a rather lengthy procedure. There's various checkpoints you have to go through before you even get to the check-in desk, and the whole process took about an hour.
Okay, perfect. Right. You have a business class ticket.
Sí, sí.
And you have access to the biggest loss.
Okay.
Here.
Gracias, thank you. Hola, señor. ¿A México? Sí. Hola. Buenos días. Gracias. Thank you. Hola, señor. Buen día. Gracias. Thank you. Buenos días, ¿cómo estás? ¿Es posible asiento ventanilla?
Ventana.
Ventana, gracias. Ventana, gracias.
¿Equipaje, hermano?
Sí, manos. Sí. Manos, sí. Okay. This one only, okay. Oh, okay, gracias.
14, gate.
Gate 14, yeah. 8 o'clock. 8. Gracias.
Ok, feliz viaje.
Muchas gracias. Buen día.
Da la vuelta aquí.
Okay, gracias.
Para ver.
Alright, that's made it through to airside here at Caracas Airport, and here is my ride today across to Mexico City. This is an Airbus A340-600. Conviasa use them on some really long haul routes. They go to Moscow, they go to Damascus in Syria with these things as well. They've some quite unique routes, really, but in addition to those places, they also send them to Mexico City, which is where we are headed today. So this is actually quite a short trip for the A340-600 today, comparatively speaking. It's about 5 hours. It's going to take me on this beautiful thing from here in Caracas all the way to Mexico City. Apparently, even though my flight doesn't leave till 10, we're boarding at 8. 2 hours boarding in advance seems a bit of a stretch. There doesn't seem to be that many people taking the flight, but we're still apparently boarding at 8. So it's 8 o'clock now, and I thought I'd come to the gate and see, but there's nobody here, so there's no staff here either or anything. So I'm not entirely sure. So I've just realised something here. I was thinking, there's not many people coming here and flying out here internationally. There's not many people in the shops and things either buying things. I've just spent $6 on a coffee, quite a small coffee, here in the shop. And I've just Googled it. The average salary here in Venezuela is $34 a week. I've just effectively spent 20% of the average Venezuelan's weekly salary on one cup of coffee. Just incredible, really. The kind of the inflation and everything that's been going on here has really not been good for the country. And things like this way out of the reach of the average Venezuelan, unfortunately, which is quite sad, really. It's a lovely place. It's a lovely country to come to, and they just have a lot of issues to work through, sadly. As I was waiting for the flight, I was approached by a member of staff who told me that as a business class passenger I had to wait in the lounge, and took me the length of the terminal to the Conviasa lounge here at Caracas Airport. Oh, gracias, thank you. Hola. Hola, buenas. Yes, sorry. Un poquito español. The Conviasa lounge is actually pretty nice. There's quite a few areas where you can sit and a little cafe where you can grab a bite to eat at the same time. How are you? Gracias, thank you. Yes, I would take one of these. And the coffee, please? Americano. Yes, gracias, thank you. Alright, so they came and fetched me from the gate and brought me down to the actual Conviasa lounge. And this is quite nice. It's quite fresh and bright. There's only like 5 of us in business class today on the A340-600, so I can't wait to see what it's actually like when we get on there, but yeah, I'm going to wait in here now for a bit apparently. The clocks on the wall read the world time in Beijing, Moscow and Tehran, which I guess shows you who Venezuela like to keep on their friends list. I did really like this grassy wall thing they've got going on there as well at the back, and I had a bit of a browse through the magazines that were laying there as well. Eventually though, I was grabbed by another member of staff and taken down to the plane as it was time to start getting on board the flight across to Mexico. Gracias.
José, lo pongo allá con ella.
And so it was finally time to get on board the beautiful Conviasa Airbus A340-600. I just couldn't wait to see what it was like once I got on board. Hola señora, buenos días.
6K.
The first thing that surprised me was this massive bar area that there was at the back of the business class cabin, an indication of who used to own this plane before. The business class cabin's in a 222 configuration, which is pretty spacious and comfy. Gracias, thank you. Alright then, welcome on board Conviasa's A340-600. This one's actually leased from an Iranian airline called Mahan Air. The seats are really nice in a 222 configuration across the cabin. There's a bar at the back actually, which is pretty strange. We're going to have a look at that in a little while, and there is my view out of the window of the A340-600 wing. Quite a decent amount of legroom. We've got seat controls here. Don't think it's an almost flatbed, I think. Not that we're going to need much of a flatbed on a 5-hour flight to Mexico, but yeah, here we are. Let's get ready to rumble and head across to Mexico. It turned out that rumbling would have to wait for a little while though, because we sat on the ground for absolutely ages with no explanation at all as to why. One thing I am learning actually about Conviasa is that schedules and timing, they're not set in stone, they're slightly fluid. It's now 10:40, we should have left 40 minutes ago and we're still attached to the jet bridge. Nobody's particularly bothered. I think it's okay. Venezuela, baby. It's 11 o'clock, an hour after we should have left. We're still here. On the gate. I do have a bit of a connection in Mexico City. It wasn't going to be an issue, it was about a 4-hour connection. But we're an hour late now already. It's still good, it's still good. Finally though, almost 2 hours after our scheduled departure time, the doors were closed, the safety demo started, and it was time to try and get the engine started, at least using this ground power unit, before we pushed back from the gate and got on our way across to Mexico. route today then took us northwest out of Caracas across the Caribbean Sea, passing to the south of Jamaica. From there we coasted in over Belize before heading across Mexico up to Santa Lucia Airport in Mexico City, with a flight time today of 4 hours and 43 minutes, cruising at 38 and 40,000 feet. Alright then, airborne finally from Caracas, 1 hour and 46 minutes after we should have left. I did have a 4-hour connection in Mexico, but it's now kind of a 2-hour connection, which hopefully is enough time. The only reason I booked a 4-hour connection is because there's one flight a day from Santa Lucia Airport to Houston, and that leaves 4 hours after this one gets in. So if I don't get that flight, it's 24 hours until the next flight tomorrow. So I mentioned before a bit about Conviasa and some of the crazy routes that this airline does around the world with the Airbus A340-600 and the other A340s they've got in their fleet as well, and it does get to some far out places. The only international destinations that Conviasa fly to are Moscow in Russia, Tehran in Iran. They fly to Damascus in Syria and as well to Mexico City. And for the most part, those flights completely empty, barely any passengers, a few dignitaries from each country. Perhaps today's flight, we've got a delegation of Mexican government officials on board the flight heading over to Mexico City. Other than that, not a lot of people taking these flights. Conviasa being the government airline of Venezuela, well basically it's all about Venezuela showing off to their mates and showing what cool planes they've got and what nice flights they do. And that's pretty much it really, which is great if you come as a passenger on them because there's barely anybody else on it. You know, there's times when I'm on these trips that it can feel very isolating doing what I do, and that is not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes it's great, you get to come and actually have time alone in beautiful parts of the world, but at other times, well, sometimes when you've not got somebody to bounce ideas off, ideas can go around in your head, like maybe you're not good enough, maybe you start to feel a little bit down about the things that are going on, and sometimes, well, it just helps to be able to talk to somebody to be able to work through that. You know, at times like that, I'm grateful for this week's video sponsor, BetterHelp, because sometimes it really helps just to have somebody to talk to, and BetterHelp does all of that. You see, they've got a network of over 30,000 licensed therapists who you can talk to and help you with all these sorts of things that go around in your head. And trust me, for me, that can be a lot of things going round in my head. Signing up's super straightforward too. You go on the website, answer a few questions, and pretty soon you're matched with a licensed therapist who you can talk to, in regular video calls with, and even do live chats with them in between your sessions as well, just so you've got that support going on between the sessions. And you know, BetterHelp understand that you might not necessarily get along with any particular therapist, and that's fine too, because they let you change them at any time with no hard feelings on either side. BetterHelp are giving you 10% off your first month when you use my link betterhelp.com/Noel. That's betterhelp.com/NOEL. Now, one question that I have been asked constantly since I've been here in Venezuela is the same thing over and over again. Is it safe to visit Venezuela as a foreigner? I have to admit, I was a little bit nervous about the whole prospect of visiting Venezuela. You hear so much bad stuff about the country, the risk of getting robbed at gunpoint, kidnapped even. People say that it's one of the most dangerous places on the planet to visit. So I was a little bit scared, I have to say, when I first booked my flight. Thankfully, it's nothing like that at all. Personally, I found it pretty safe. I didn't feel scared anywhere I went. Really, people are absolutely lovely, almost universally. Yes, I'm guessing there's dodgy areas as there is anywhere in the world, but you know what? I felt pretty safe since I've been here. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying book your next family holiday to Caracas. I'm not saying that at all, because I'm sure that there are much nicer places to go to for a vacation. Places where you are pretty much guaranteed your safety. But honestly, I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as what people have been making out, if I'm honest. Everybody you speak to down on the ground there in Venezuela says exactly the same thing as well. Yeah, okay, it does have a reputation. There was a bit of trouble a few years ago and it was a little bit dodgier, But these days, it's pretty safe. All the criminals and the gangs have all moved out or been taken down, and now it's just a country trying to get back on its feet again. And you can see that everywhere you go. People are universally lovely, and they're asking constantly what you think of their country. They're so proud, and they seem like they really want to make the place a better place, and it's nice to see that. Now I do have to say, booking this flight was a bit of a right royal pain in the arse, because Conviasa's website doesn't let you buy international tickets through their website. You have to do it through a travel agent, which was a bit of an issue. I ended up finding a travel agent and contacting them via WhatsApp, and effectively had to do the whole booking via WhatsApp. They reckon that they were the official travel agent of Conviasa, but it all felt a little bit dodgy. I had to send them the money. They only take cash or payment via Zelle, Bitcoin or PayPal. I didn't really want to Bitcoin or Zelle money over to this travel agent through WhatsApp, so I ended up doing it through PayPal, so I'd at least got a little bit of comeback. PayPal done me $600, and then a few long hours later I get an email with a PDF document attached that is my ticket for today's flight. Then all I had to do was just sit back and hope beyond hope that my PDF document was actually a ticket and wasn't just a document that Miguel had set up in his back room in Word. Thankfully, of course, I got to the airport today and it seemed that that ticket was actually a ticket, and here we are on board heading out of Venezuela.
It's time for the Noel Phillips Lou Review.
Alright then, time for the Conviasa A340 Lou review, and you can tell this plane used to be owned by Virgin Atlantic, even down to the bathrooms. You've got this beautiful mirror with the lights around it, mood lighting down there, illuminating the sink and the bottle of water or something that someone's left there. We've got mouthwash in there. I don't know whether I'd want to use mouthwash that somebody else has used, but anyway. And it's all silvery and cool, even down to the bog. The bog is silver plated. Very nice. About 4 hours remain on today's flight. They're just starting to set up the lunch service. It'll be interesting to see what we get, so I'm going to head back to my seat.
That was the Noel Phillips Lou Review.
I got back to my seat and it was soon time for the breakfast service. There was no choice, we were just served an omelette with a sausage, which actually was relatively tasty despite how it looked. I did appreciate the granola bowl too, which was actually quite nice. Interestingly, all the condiments that we were given were manufactured in Iran, which was just another indication of just how close Venezuela are to Tehran. It's cold. Other than that, it's quite nice though. The in-flight magazine shows clearly Conviasa's extensive and interesting world route map, as well as a history of the airline that apparently all came about because of a vision by the country's former dictator, Hugo Chavez. See, along with the fact that Conviasa is a pretty strange airline, this is a pretty strange plane as well, because, well, it's originally owned by Virgin Atlantic back in the day for many years, and they used it, and you can tell it was an ex-Virgin plane because it's got a bar on board at the back and the bathroom's very Virgin-esque as well. It's all, you can tell it was a Virgin aircraft, but then it was bought by the Iranian airline Mahan Air, who clearly haven't used the bar because, you know, Iran is like a dry country. But now it's leased to Conviasa, so the bar is kind of in use, but it's still very Virgin Atlantic, even though it's kind of a bit Iranian in places and it's a bit Virgin in places. It's a very weird aircraft, really. Not to mention the fact that they're flying it pretty much empty, just to look better. I can't even begin to imagine how much gas this thing is guzzling, flying empty to Mexico and Tehran and Damascus and Moscow. On places like that every couple of days. They can't be making any money out of this, surely. Right, then we have started our descent down into Mexico City Airport, but not the big Mexico City Airport that I've flown into before. This is Mexico City's brand new airport, Santa Lucia, which is where Conviasa fly to in Mexico. hasn't been open for too long. Not many airlines fly from there, but Conviasa is one of them. So I'm really looking forward to see what that airport's like. We should be landing about an hour and a half late, which gives me about 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get through the airport. I think that might be okay. Although I do have to go through security again, and when I checked online they gave me my 4S's super special security screening, which means I have to go through an extra latex glove treatment in Mexico. I think it's because when I left the US, I left on a one-way ticket to Guatemala, and then I'm returning on a one-way ticket from Mexico. That is usually what seems to trigger it. One-way tickets when I'm on my own. If I'm with the family, then I don't tend to get picked, but if I'm on my own on a one-way ticket, then I do, especially if it's going out to one country, coming back from another, like this. But it is okay. Side note though, they tell you that you're going to be getting extra screening before you even leave your house for the airport. Surely if you were going to be planning something dodgy or nefarious, would you not sort of look at that and go, well, bugger that, I'll take a different flight or I'll do something else? Is it just me, or does it seem a little bit pointless telling you you're going to get extra screening before you even leave the house? Anyway, never mind, it is what it is. So I know I'm going to get the latex glove treatment, so I'm sort of primed and ready for that, misses. And yeah, we should be on the ground in about 20 minutes time. Across to Mexico City cost me $644 or around about 27.1 million Iranian rials. Honestly, that's not a bad price for a 5-hour flight in business class, even if you do have to deal with dodgy Venezuelan travel agents to book it. Santa Lucia Airport is Mexico City's newest airport. It's absolutely massive and barely any airlines fly here yet, so it was deserted when we turned up. Adiós. Gracias.
Buenas tardes, bienvenidos.
Walking through the airport is really strange. Apart from our flight arriving, there was literally nobody here. It was just a bit creepy, really. It's a beautiful airport though, and I can't wait to be able to fly through here more in the future. All that remained now was for me to see if I'd made my connection onto the single daily flight up to Houston. Right, made it into Mexico. It's now 3:12. My flight leaves in about an hour and a half. This is Santa Lucia Airport in Mexico. Only about 3 airlines use it at the minute. It's a brand new airport, massive. There's literally nobody here at all. It's incredible. But anyway, I've got to go and check in now for Air Mexico. So let's go and check in and explore airside as well. Fortunately, with the airport being largely empty, it didn't take too long to get through, and I made it in time for my flight, even with my 4S latex glove treatment. The flight up to Houston is about an hour and a half long on this Embraer 190, and it was really nice to just sit back and relax for a little bit on my way back home to Texas. And then welcome back to Houston. An amazing day today riding on the Conviasa A340-600. How cool was that? And checking out the new airport in Mexico as well. All amazing. Back home now. I'm going to head home, try and get some rest. Let me know what you thought to Conviasa down in the comments as always. But in the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Take care, be kind to one another guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.